Malolile, kia ora, g'day. This is a Talanoa Live, a special series of a yarn live, and tonight it is a super special edition because we normally have the big wigs of business who've been around for 100 years giving us their experience, and tonight it's all about the next future leaders who are going to be those people in 10 to 20 years. So I want to welcome the students and the principal of Manurewa High School to the show tonight. And before we get on with anything further, I would like to invite James to deliver karakia to take us into the moment. And I'd like to just share with everybody with my te reo classes from my kaoki, Turakawa Bawala. Karakia is an incantation to take us into a special time, and at the conclusion, one to take us out of it as well. So it's almost in some ways, if you don't understand tikanga, or parts of Te Ao Māori. It's almost, think of it like a team talk where we're all going to take us into a special time. So with that, James, please take it away with this evening's karakia to take us into this time.
Well, here's let us pray. Whakataka te hui ki te uru, whakataka te hui ki te tonga. Kia mā kina kiuta, kia mā taratara ki tai. E hia ki ana te atākura, he tio, he huka, he hu, ti he mauri ora.
Thank you very much. And we also have, along with the 4 future leaders, Pete Jones, who's the principal. So he's going to be taking care of things. If you need anything to be taken care of. So if I get out of hand, I might get a detention. Can't get a smack these days, but we could in my day. So with that, let's go to Helen first of all. If you could introduce yourself, Helen, and give us an idea of what you're studying, what your sort of future aspirations, maybe for work or anything are, and of course your perspective on COVID, please.
Thank you. Malala everyone. My name is Helen Seula. I am very. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm very excited for tonight's session. For those who don't know me, as I said, my name is Helen Seula. I am Samoan and Chinese descent. I'm a proud South Aucklander, and I am the head girl of Manurewa High School. What am I studying? For my future aspirations, I'm wanting to study the Bachelor of Health Science in Nursing. For me, I love to take care of people. I like hands-on things. I like to work with people. I'm a very social person. I like to, work with other people and take care of them. So yeah, nursing is what I'm looking forward to do. Why I want to take nursing? Because as a Pacific Islander, I see that there's not that much nursing out there. And I've had my own experiences with that, positive and also negative. But, there's not that many Pacifica nurses out there. And so for me as a Samoan, I really want to push our Pacific Island leaders out there and, make more Samoan nurses, more Pacific Islander nurses, because, majority of patients who get sick, mostly us Pacific Islanders, and we really need that help. Our parents, they have that language barrier that like English is not their first language, and so for me being there to be that help for them, to be their tokana, to guide them, I feel like that's a very good opportunity. So yeah, sorry,
that's okay. That's great.
And my future, my thoughts on future of COVID. Honestly, I don't know because right now, because COVID is lockdown, we're in lockdown now. It's hard trying to juggle everything all at once. You have your schoolwork. You don't have that physical contact with your teachers, except you can only see it through virtually. So for me personally, I think the question is, I like to rephrase the question is there a future for us, for COVID? But to answer what would the future of COVID look like, I guess it's going to be more and more diseases, because we had measles like 3 years ago, we had COVID last year, and then now this year we have this new thing called Delta variant. So what is there gonna be another one next year? So yeah, that's my thoughts on COVID. I feel like there's just gonna be more diseases added on, more lockdowns, but I guess it's just to have faith and believe and to keep on keeping on. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. That's beautiful. I love the fact that you'd like to become a nurse. Yeah, when my wife was in hospital after the first lockdown for brain surgery, I think we had one Kiwi nurse two Kiwi nurses out of about 10 to 12. Most others came from a range from Ireland to Philippines to India, you name it, which is great as well. But there's definitely a great need for nurses out there, and it's something that's obviously in the news at the moment. So I, having personally been a carer for my wife through 3 major operations and met a lot of nurses, I would love to see more Kiwi nurses and more Polynesian nurses as well. So thank you very much for that. And lovely reframing of the question. Is there a future? So that's part of what I'd like to hear from everyone tonight as we go through. But as you were the head girl, you might have noticed I moved you from down the bottom up to the top. So you're now the head girl. But let's go to our next guest. So if we could ask, and excuse me if I get it wrong, but remind me how to pronounce Beitor. You good? Okay. I'll bring you up to center stage up here. How's that? So if you could introduce yourself and give us the same picture of what you're studying, what you hope to do, and what your thoughts about COVID are.
Cool. Malo Lele. Hello, everyone. My name is Beitor Lee. I am Chinese and a proud South Aucklander like our students here. I am the head boy of Manurewa High School, and it's such a privilege to be here tonight for this Talanoa session and just, share our perspectives on the circumstances that are occurring throughout the world. So this year is our last year of high school, and just experiencing this level 4 lockdown has been taking a toll on, our mental health and everything. But for this lockdown to, inevitably occur, I guess it gives this sense of understanding that, working towards my goal of Bachelor of Engineering at the University of Auckland is, a major motivation for me to work towards that goal. But, like anyone else, there are, backup options to help secure your experience when you're going into tertiary studies. So global studies has also been a major aspect of my reflection, I guess, if you know what I mean, just reflecting on what may happen or what may not happen. So it's good to always have that backup. And it's just a good session to bring out our perspectives. So my perspective on the COVID-19 lockdowns and like the future of, the COVID-19 pandemic, I guess, like what Helen said, it's unprecedented. It's, unpredictable. We have been going through all of these, these ordeals, I guess, as not only as a country, but boiling it down into one community and one unison of a diversity. I guess it's just, it's unprecedented. We don't know what will happen next. But in order to prepare for whatever is going to come next, I guess it's all coming down to innovation and therapy. Innovation and compassion. So yeah, just having that compassion and just, being there for each other, being there, just supporting and just looking out for each other is what builds us as a powerful country in terms of, like the compassion and the love and aroha for everyone else here. So reiterating what Helen just said, I guess it's just, it comes down to just being kind to one another and understanding. Yeah.
Thank you. That's brilliant. Now, I had no idea that Helen was the head girl and that Peter was the head boy. That was just absolute by chance. So thank you very much. And seems rather fitting that we might kick it off that way. Or maybe it's my old school thinking. I was never head boy. I was never that smart. So Great to have you here. So now let's introduce Maya. So I'm going to bring Maya up to the centre square there. And you sort of know the drill by now. If you could introduce yourself, what you're studying, what you hope to do in the future, and then what your thoughts about COVID are. We look forward to hearing what you think.
Okay. Well, Talofa, my name is Maya Poa. I'm 17 and I'm Samoan as well, Helen. But yeah, I'm currently taking math, English, economics, and business studies, and I want to study Bachelor of Commerce at University of Auckland next year. That's like my next step, working towards becoming my own business owner, which is like my big dream goal. But I know I believe in if you aim for the moon and you miss, then you can land little stars. So I don't really mind if I don't make it. So, but yeah. Sorry, my view on COVID.
Yeah, please.
I don't know how to feel about COVID. It's kind of like just out of our control kind of thing. And it is what Beto said, unpredictable. I just hope that it doesn't stay like this forever in lockdown, because imagine our future just looking at screens to interact with people. Yeah, I just don't believe in that. But yeah.
So that's quite a observation, you know, and I can't imagine in the future just looking at screens. So yes, I think we all hope and expect a better option in life than that. But thank you very much for that. So we're going to come back to everybody once we get through everybody. So I've got some questions for each of you. But first, we'll get to James now. So I'll swap you over and bring you up here. And James, if you could, thank you very much for a beautiful karakia, by the way. If you could introduce yourself and give us what you're studying, what your hopes are for after school, work-wise, or whatever the case, your career, and of course, what you think about COVID.
Talofa, guys. My name is James Filippo. I'm Samoan, and I'm one of the leaders for Manurewa High School, and I'm also captain of First 13 Rugby League at Manurewa High School. My future, what I want to do in the future is pursue rugby league. I was lucky enough to do that in 2019 to move over to Australia. Due to COVID, I had to come back, but yeah, I want to pursue rugby league in the future. And my thoughts on COVID is it's pretty simple. I reckon everyone should just get tested. We've beaten COVID before as a whole country. I think we're one of the countries to get out of lockdown for ages and live like a similar normal life to what we used to live. And I think if we all just help each other, get around each other, get tested, do what needs to be done, like how we did before in the first lockdown pandemic, I think it'll encourage every other country and nation to help each other and get their country on board to beat COVID or together. So that's my take on COVID. And yeah, I'm James Filippo from Manurewa High School.
Well, thank you very much, Captain. I really appreciate that team thinking there. And not only just for New Zealand, but the example that New Zealand can set for the world. So now let's go to, I'll say the big man. He probably won't say you can call me that, but you are the principal. And I would think you'd be a pretty proud principal at this moment. I certainly would be if I was in your seat. But let's just flick you over, because this is kind of cool. I've just started playing with this, put you in the hot seat. If you could introduce yourself just the same, obviously not what you're studying, but a different perspective from the principal's seat, and maybe some reflections on what you've heard from your students this evening.
Kia ora, Ryan. Ko Emirates te waka, ko Kadaradres te mawanga, ko te Arisi te moana. Ko Mersey te awa, ko Anfield te marae, ko the Cup te hapu, ko Liverpool FC te iwi. Ko Justine tako ho rangatira, ko Billy Samajoa Akatama, ko Matua Pete Jones tako ingwa. No reina, tena koto, tena koto, tena tato katua. Kia ora, team. My name's Pete Jones. I'm the proud principal of Manurewa High School. I've been working at the Kura since 2006. As you can tell from the accent, originally from England, and all my family from Liverpool. The connection with Liverpool FC My granddad took me to my first game when I was 5. I took him to his last game when he was 89, and I still have his season ticket in his name. So a really special place for me. And I just want to acknowledge everyone here and everyone out there who has got whānau overseas, because that's been one of the massive impacts of COVID. We've just not been able to be face-to-face. We've only been able to do it across the screen with all our loved ones overseas. So I know lots of our whānau and lots of our students, they're really finding that tough now. I think in the reflections we're getting from students, the lockdown this time is harder. It's gone up a notch. Last year it was only COVID-19, and it was only a few weeks at the beginning of the year, and we felt like we then got out of it and we had the rest of the year to pick up and recover. This is a new game. This is Delta, and it's a new time as well. It's later in the year, so it's much more of an impact on students in terms of their learning. But for us at Manurewa High School, we've put a real focus on haora, on well-being, and that has to be first. First for yourself, first for your whānau, and first for your friends. The learning, and I want to keep reassuring all our students, learning never stops. Learning's happening while you're in lockdown, and learning will continue afterwards. So you're going to be okay. And when we do get back, and even while we're in lockdown, we're doing our best to look after you. But we're really blessed. We've got an amazing team at school. We've got amazing students who have incredible value sets and who always put themselves or put their whānau ahead of themselves, which is in so many spaces, that's incredible to see. And to get out of this, we're going to have to be creative. And it's the young people in our lives who are the creative ones. So we've got to inspire them. We've got to encourage them to use that creativity to, as Beto said, be innovative, to come up with solutions to solve problems that, you know, a couple of years ago we didn't even know existed. And we've got to do that with care and compassion. I think here's an opportunity for humanity and empathy to come absolutely to the fore. Qualifications will get there. Learning will get there. But let's look after each other and let's support each other. Kia ora.
Yeah. Wow, thank you very much. And that has the team capped off. Thank you so much for everyone's thoughts and inputs, sharing what you're studying and what you'd like to do. And of course, different perspective from the principal, but also what thoughts about COVID are. So, you know, there's some quite good comments coming through from Facebook, especially for everybody. So I'm just going to keep on popping them up. Sorry, I sometimes get the timing wrong, and it's for a person who's not speaking because they're still, we've moved on to the next person. But I just wanted to make sure that everyone puts a comment up, gets their time in the light. So thank you very much for watching and being involved. So I just wanted to come back to all of these different aspects of studying and futures. And I thought, I think Maya, I think you were talking about studying economics, and I was playing with the solo layout, but you said something, I don't know if it was about your future aspirations, but it was something about if I don't get there, I don't mind. But I just wanted to come back to that because if that was the case, I'd really like to enthuse you to keep on driving for your goals no matter what. And so if I could ask, was I right in what I heard, or did I get my wires crossed?
Yeah, I wanted to study Bachelor of Commerce to be my own business owner.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
All right, well, look, do go for it. There's a lot of information out there, and let me just tell you, I started my own business with no knowledge, no idea, and no money. I had left a job because of the toxic culture, and it wasn't very much fun. So I left and had no idea. And that's kind of like the golden rule. You don't leave a job without a job to go to. But it was that bad. So I did. And luckily I am here today talking over a screen to you. So if I managed, and I didn't do university, so I didn't have any study or background. I just had, I guess, a will to achieve. So go for it. And there's all the support in the world here, as in from me, and there's a huge range of things online that you can look at, from Digital Boost to, you know, MV, you name it. So come coming back to Beto, you were talking about the University of Auckland in engineering, and you actually almost described what is referred to as digital twins, with especially looking at supply chains. So let me just give you an explanation, because you might be thinking, what's he talking about? Digital twins are now a mixture of technology and data, so we can look at the supply chain. And this was really brought about by COVID because, of course, ships couldn't come in, raw materials couldn't get to manufacturers, products couldn't go from manufacturers to the shops. And then, of course, like just over in Henderson, the Nido shop, you might remember, was a big shop, big furniture shop, and it's closed down as a result of not being able to get the goods in to sell. So think of that realistic example. Digital twin is if I'm Nido, or maybe I'm Farmers or some big store, I want to know that the raw goods have come out of, which hand is it, this one? Raw goods have come out of the ground and have been shipped to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer is making the products that are then going to come to me on time, so that I can market them and put them in the available for sale, so they can then go on to the consumer. And that's a really basic example, but one of the things I was going to say is, with your engineering degree, do you have something in there? Is it, engineering for buildings, engineering for bridges, engineering for technology? What flavor of engineering are you looking at?
I love this flavorful question. But yeah, I am thinking of either civil or environmental, because helping, just giving back to our community, and just through, again, innovation and empathy, I guess we could build our Manurewa community into like this new and innovative, I guess, a small society, and just like advanced into technology, and just bringing our community together to just be innovative. And yeah, so it's either civil or environmental, and just giving back to our community.
Well, two thoughts for you. There's a professor at Waikato University, so all my Auckland University friends, excuse me, Ian White, who wrote the theme of the 20-minute city. So I don't know if you've heard of it, but the idea is that within 20 minutes, you can get everything you need, from universities to groceries to schools, you name it. So we don't have to travel an hour and a half on the motorway to get from here to there, right? So he's one person I'll connect you with through Emma. And the other one was actually my cousin, funnily enough. So what you talked about sounded very much like urban planning, and actually some other people from Becker. So I've got some connections at Becker and Harrison Grierson, two big engineering companies. So I'll connect you through to a few of those through Emma, but also my cousin. So he's I think it's called an urban planner, but their job is to look at areas and say, right, we're going to put a whole bunch of housing in over there, and if we're going to do that, we're going to need this sort of school and this amount of shops and all the rest of it. So it's kind of like that constructing a community idea that you thought of. But with that thought, do you have an idea of what that community might look like that you'd like to design?
Oh, I guess we'll have to wait for, the time, when the time's right. Because I guess, still being 18 and wanting to experience our youth, I guess, it's in the long run. But for now, just
you could be a politician. You could be a politician with an answer like that. That was smooth. I like it.
Yeah.
So now we'll go to Helene. So sorry, I keep calling you Helene, not Helen. It's the double L. It's very cool. It's very now. So pop you up there, and just wanted to come back to you. So in terms of nursing, and while we've got you up there, we've got a couple of your mates that have said, "Go, Helen." But in terms of nursing, what would you talked about having your own experiences, and I assume that might have been like me and my wife as a patient with some family member. So what were some of the observations that you saw that drove you or motivated you to want to do something about nursing?
Thank you for that question. So I had positive and negative experiences, but the positive ones, the experiences that I had was that sometimes when my parents go to like doctors and that, because my parents said, I know, as every Pacific Islanders, English is not a first language, and to have that language barrier where like they can't go, they're scared to go doctors because they're scared of making a mistake of actually pronouncing the words, and that they don't understand like basic English. And that's what really drove me. And also because I've lost so many loved ones, and I hadn't, like, at a young age as well. And like I didn't have that knowledge, like the basic knowledge, like CPR, like that really still haunts me now. But like, you know, I really want to educate myself, which is why I chose nursing. And because like losing people is not an easy thing, and like it really stuffs your mentality. So like the reason why my drive to become a nurse was because having to experience something that you're sitting there, you're losing your loved one, and yet you don't know what to do. You can't do anything because first of all, you're not a doctor or a nurse. And the experiences of that language barrier where your parents or your loved ones, the older generation, your elders, they're scared to get treated, but they really do need it. But when they go to hospitals and that, they're really scared because, you know, scared of the fear of making mistakes, of speaking English, and yeah, just being called those names like fob, and yeah, that's from me.
Yeah, I can understand that concern and that fear. My heart goes out to you for those that you've lost. It's really brave of you to mention that, and as I say, really sorry to hear. And I can understand where you're coming from with you can't understand the language, the concern of are you saying the right thing to get the right treatment, I think is what it boils down to. So yeah, it's something that's really needed. I think when I spoke to Jerome Mika yesterday, who's the spokesperson for the AOG Church of Samoa cluster, working from the Cause Collective of South Seas, he spoke a little bit to the same effect in terms of the language and some of the barriers and getting the information out to people in a timely manner. So it sounds like it's a challenge that we as a country need to work together. And I think perhaps beyond nursing, there's a wider impact you might be able to make with that passion. So that's really pleasing to hear. And now if we move to James, so we bring back Captain. Sorry, I got in the wrong order, Maya, but I'm going to come back with an economic question to you, which I don't think anyone can answer, so don't be worried if you can't. But James, it's great to have a captain of the league team, right? So I've got to confess, I'm a union guy. I did play one game of league once, and this is back in the days, right? So back in the day, rugby union wasn't professional once upon a time. I don't know if you knew that. Don't know how long ago it was. 1996. So that's, a wee while ago. So before 1996, if you're a union player and you played league, that was it. You weren't allowed to play union ever again. It was like a real no-no. So I got to play league as an under 13-year-old, and my father was disgusted with my behaviour. So good that we can now interchange. But what position do you play, can I ask?
I play prop number 8.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in rugby, I played number 1 and number 3.
Oh,
Good place. So here's a question for you, right? A little bit off the attack from COVID, but in rugby union, it's 18 players are in the 5 meter circumference of a scrum. So in league, you got to take 2 off, don't you? 4 off. So that's 14. So I was watching the other day, and it was the Bulldogs versus Manly, and the Bulldogs put the ball into the scrum. What I call the number 8 picked it up and passed it to the number 11, the lock, who run on the inside and scored the try. And I haven't seen that in league for I don't know how many years. But do you guys run any sort of moves off the scrum?
Not really. We just like to keep it simple. Don't ever play our hand, especially in like near the try line. So just try and keep it simple and don't confuse the whole team. Yep. So yeah. So
it must be reasonably hard from a sports perspective. What happens for practice and training and things like that? Like, is your hallway sort of, you run a track up and down the hallway keeping fit, or what do you do in sports?
I was going to the garage sometime.
Yeah.
And just do my own training.
Cool.
Yeah, it's not too complex.
So have you been following what's happening with our Warriors? Like I think they've been camped in Queensland.
Yeah, Redcliffe and next year as well. So yeah, the power of COVID, eh?
The power of COVID. Right. So now let's get to Maya, and this is a big economics question. And as you said, you want to study economics. So look, this is something I don't understand. So don't worry if your answer is that you don't either. You'll be joining me. There's a lot of talk around the fact that the $60 billion loan is going to be something that our your grandchildren are going to be paying off type thing. And I don't quite understand it because it's that sort of big, but I just wondered if you had heard any of that sort of talk, being interested in economics, and if you had any sort of perspective on it in terms of weight on the shoulders of your generation.
Of the future paying for the loan?
Yeah.
I don't have a strong understanding, but from what you just told me, I find that really unfair. But also, what can we do about it? Because we kind of need to make that loan to survive now.
Good observation. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure.
No, that's right. I don't really have the answers either. I don't think people have thought about it. But it is sort of something, because it's like climate change, right? Is anyone looking across climate change? Feel free to put up your hand if anyone's been thinking about climate change. The engineer has. Alrighty, so let's get you up there, Vitor. In terms of climate change, that's a bit of a situation as well. So if we put COVID aside for a moment, climate change. Share your thoughts with us.
Sorry. So being a part of our environmental council at school, so it's basically a committee of students coming together with the same mindset. So being in this council for, I guess this is my third year, so started in year 11, just being a part of it already gave me an understanding that being sustainable is probably our the most crucial factor that we need to consider now to prevent any other challenging circumstances in the future, because presently, like right now, we're facing so many ordeals in our environments, and we've been actively trying to engage young students, young leaders, like-minded people to battle the climate crisis. So yeah, we've been doing school strikes. I don't know if you've heard of it, but we've had a school strike back in 2019. There was a school strike at Altea Square all the way down to Queen Street. So it was like a big deal for me at that time, because I was just introduced to this council, the environmental council. So just seeing so many people, not only just students, but adults, teachers, and all different cultures, and the diversity of this climate strike for students and schools, it really I guess gave a shock of realization that we need to act as soon as possible to reduce any conflict that will happen and all that may continue, if you know where I'm coming from. But yeah, it's just preventing any more just waste, reducing plastic waste, just unnecessary production of products, I guess, and just encouraging manufacturers to try think of alternatives to reduce their carbon emissions, or just simple things to just mitigate the factor of our climate crisis. So yeah, it's my take on the whole climate strike stuff and climate change.
So I'm just going to ask all four of you to start thinking of your closing remarks, because we're actually just over 7:30, and some of you might need to get to dinner, or you had it before, by disrespecting everyone's time. I'll just pop this up from Ben Silk, and there's another one from before that I want to pop from Sean Gear, actually. So we'll go to Sean Gear's question after this. Sorry, Sean, hope you're still there. But Ben's just chucked up the wee note there. So the climate crisis is such a huge issue for teenagers to get their heads around, very abstract for many. Having phenomenal and wise leaders like you, Beetle, it definitely helps us through. Yes. And everybody can be a leader in this space, because it's a big thing for me to get my head around. But I won't go into that. So I think there was one here for James back when we were talking. Scrums are resting time for forwards. Sorry, mate. Shouldn't have put that one up. But I'm going back to Sean Gear. So let's have a look at this question. Now, sorry, it crosses over a lot of the people at the bottom of it. But do you think there is learnings from these lockdowns and opportunities to rethink the structure of the senior secondary school calendar and NCEA exams? Sounds like Manurewa is innovating ways around these real challenges. What could that look like? So, Pete looks like he wants to get in there. Would anyone like?
I'd just like to add, I think that is a space where nationally it's something that's being looked at, but it needs definitely fast tracking. And the days when everybody has to sit in an exam room at the same time on the same day, it's antiquated. It's not how learning works. Learning should be any time, any place, anywhere. And that assessment of learning or marking of learning should be able to happen when people are ready. And that is where technology actually can help us. Technology should be able to provide us with the opportunity that people can access their learning programs, and when they're ready, they can go and do this assessment. And if there's a qualification tag with that, they can gain that qualification. And we need to get there quick, because the system we have at the moment is antiquated.
Yeah. So you would have seen my little screen bobble about a little bit, and that's because I was getting one of these devices out. There's no disk slot on that one, but it's got pages of information. That's my first year psychology textbook, which I think was $400. Oh, $74. I had to buy one textbook was $400. Might have been my stats. Whereas now all of that's online, and I sort of think about it. I almost got kicked out of a school cert exam because I had a squash ball that I used to squeeze to pump the blood, because I wanted the blood to pump and the oxygen to be smarter and get better answers. So I almost got kicked out for having that, because I could have had answers written on the squash ball. Does anyone know how small a squash ball is? But yeah, just talks to your point about how in the real world we don't actually sit there doing our work like a test. If we need to look anything up, if we need to turn around and ask a colleague, we can. So these sorts of exams, yes, they might be a test of what you've managed to remember for that point in time, but by no means, like if I got 88% in school cert maths, but I couldn't tell you how to do work out the inside angles of a triangle now. So does it relate to me running my business like Maya was hoping to do? No. But what about some of the other things? Yes. So yeah, real learning in a way that we use in the real world future probably would be a thing that I would think about as a person now, 30 something years past their school career. But what about you for students? Any thoughts on the NCEA and how you'd reshape it if you had the magic wand? and no, not having to do it at all in any form is not an answer. But I'm sure we'd all probably say the same on that one. Anything behind the smile, Beetle?
Well, I guess coming from a student perspective, a lot of students have been, quite under the stress factor, just a little bit, almost, overfilling with stress. But with the unconditional support from our school systems, I guess it's a way to keep us in control, and instead of bursting out in protest and all that. But I guess our us as students, our generation, it's just we have that mindset of understanding that faculties and corporations like NZQA are only trying to help us, but sometimes traditional ways aren't the way to go, because sometimes traditional ways are just outdated and just not suitable for the new generation and the new, I guess, the new gen type of learning mindset. So I guess that personally, I think that having that physical, that physical hands-on assessment is much more effective, I guess, in a way that helps engage everyone into putting their own efforts and putting their own 2 cents into the assessment, is what, gives especially seniors, gives the sense of, the real world, how it actually works in the real world, instead of sitting down in a traditional, I guess, a paper and pen. You have to stay silent for the whole 3 hours. I guess it does work, but I guess it's just, advancing into the 21st, 22nd century. I don't see how it will advance our understanding of working outside of a school system. So yeah, for us personally, what I think is that, sometimes it's good to have a change in pace and try new methods to engage our students into taking the assessments. Yeah.
Well, if we take some examples from James and Helen, so when we're doing league training, and I'm thinking of my rugby training, we would probably, after doing some specialized training of a skill, we would then put that skill into play by having it run against the opposition, using the reserves being the opposition. And that's kind of your real world situation versus just doing the specialized skill, which would be like sitting there in the exam time. So if you've been doing it for sports, and then I think with nursing, you'll discover that there's a lot of vocational training, because you're going to have to stick a needle into someone's arm. You can't just rock up on your first day and start treating like a pincushion. You got to learn how to do it. And what is it, CPR? So I don't know if you've done that, but I remember even when I was at school, we did CPR, and there was the little plastic dummy that we had to do the compressions on and do the breaths on. Probably too. Yeah. So why not in school, I guess, is the question. So that comes back to you, Pete. And again, I'll say it again. We'll give you for opportunity to think of your closing remarks, a couple of minutes, your closing thoughts to sign off with, and any shout outs you want to make to your mates and teams, etc. Before we do that, Pete, in terms of those thoughts that we've heard around, I guess, school learning changing, what are some of the pressures that you face and that the Ministry of Education face? Because you can't just change things overnight, can you? So can you give us any insight as to what those sort of challenges are like and what you need to take into account?
Well, you say you can't change things overnight, and yet we've had to do so much change overnight in response to COVID. And people were innovative, people were creative, and have continued to be in that space. And so when we come together and we're faced with a real challenge, we can do it. So why do we have to wait to make change? I think secondary school education, certainly pre-COVID, so much of it was so dated. You could walk into so many classrooms and it'd be like walking into a classroom 100 years ago. And even the style of delivery was the same as 100 years ago. Now, I'm not saying that hasn't got a place sometimes, but it's not how our system should be organized now. And it needs to relate to the real world. What's our purpose if it's not but to prepare young people for their next steps when they leave us? And the next steps when they leave us are not going to sit in an exam hall for 3 hours, or it's not going to be, right, all the 21-year-olds, you go and sit in that corner. And okay, after an hour, we're going to ring a bell and stop what you're doing on that project and start working on something else. We've got to get with the times. We've got to change. If we were businesses, I'm just going to do a plug here because Maya's already got her own business. So she's already on the way with Pacific Dreams. So plug for Maya's business. But if secondary schools were a business, we'd have gone bust years ago. So maybe COVID's giving us the kick that we need to make the changes. I'll shut up now.
No, that's brilliant. Maya, you've been a bit of a quiet one on that. We'll have to get the link and put it into all the socials for you, and find out all about it. So perhaps you can start off the closing remarks, and please include a little bit about your business, because this is exciting stuff.
Oh, okay. I just want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak on this. It's a big privilege, and we're really grateful. But yeah, for business studies, we pretty much had to create a business to solve a problem. So myself and 5 other Pacifica Māori girls, we designed and created night lights to encourage reducing screen time before bed, because we saw that this was like a major issue, especially for teenagers. So yeah, we pretty much make Polynesian themed night lights with designs, because it's a cube and it has designs on all 4 sides. But yeah, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. Pacific
Cool.
Dreams. Yeah.
Awesome. I look forward to having a look at those myself. So if we keep it a mix, we'll come to you, James. So I'll pop you into the center position, and if you could share your closing thoughts for everybody, that'd be appreciated.
Oh, my closing thoughts. My closing thoughts about COVID, or just anything?
Anything. And you want to shout out to the boys?
Oh yeah, shout out to the boys. No, but with COVID, yeah, I think the most important thing we need to do is check if we're okay. Always message your mates, family members overseas, or even if they're just down the road, give them a call. So, making sure everyone's okay. Everyone's like living well, everyone's eating properly, because I think when COVID comes, a lot of people struggle financially as well. So I think there's other businesses, there's other like local suppliers who do like boxes of food and give them out to families who struggle financially. So I think our main thing for COVID is to checking up on everyone, making sure everyone's okay. Yeah.
Great thoughts. Yeah. Hey, do you have a school song?
School song.
Oh, look at Helen. So I can still sing my school song if you want to hear that. That's a cracker. So Helen, are you volunteering to lead the school song?
I think I lost my voice.
Oh, come on. So I'll tell you a funny story, right? I coach rugby at schools around Auckland, and I was taking the van full of the team to a game, and I said, you know your school haka? And they're like, no, sir. And I was like, what? I still know my school haka. And they're like, what? You're too old. And I was like, I still know it. And I said, what about your school song? They're like, no, I don't know a school song. And I was like, I know my school song. Come on, where's your, pride in your school? And they're like, why don't you sing it for us, sir? So I sang it, and one of them recorded it and put it up on Facebook. And then the rest of their school was like just taking fun out of me. So you can imagine. So I'm not going to sing it tonight, but it is pretty motivating. So if you're not going to sing, that's okay. But if you could share your closing remarks for this evening, that would be appreciated. Helen.
Sorry, my mum just came in. My closing remarks? No?
That's right. Probably good timing if your mum's come in. She's saying, come on, we need you back out here.
She's saying, right.
Bring her on. Bring her on and say hello.
Hi, Mum. My closing remarks, just shout out to everyone who's joined in tonight. I was like sharing it to all my family and friends. But yeah, I feel like I agree with everyone. The closing remarks to check up on everyone. For me, is with everything that's going on, I feel like we're all trying. Like, there's different changes in that. I feel like we need to change is scary, but it's for the better of us. And so I feel like we need to adapt to that new change, because this world revolving around us, like everything is, and like I've never heard of a lockdown until last year. That was my first time. It was really scary, but we got there eventually. And also from me, a big one would have to be to find your support system, because in everything that we do, we need to have that support system. We can't go alone. And like, you know, like for Maya, she has a support system, like her family in there, and like to be able to I guess as we are the future, we need that support system to keep going forward and to keep thriving and striving. And so, yeah, shout out to my family and friends that are here. You guys are my support system. Yeah, it's to find that support system because we do need it. Sometimes we need to have that, you know, second voice to, you know, keep pushing us, keep going. Like just my mom not long ago, she's like, wow, good girl. Yeah. In these tough times, we need those kind of people. We need positive people. Like our final leaders, our saying is always positive vibes. You know, but life is too short to, you know, to hate on everyone. And I'm going to end off my closing remarks with one of our final leaders, LJ. His saying is, "Don't hate, motivate." Let's go.
What was that? Don't hate,
Don't hate, motivate.
motivate. Oh, I like it. Yeah. And thank you for giving the person credit too. That's really kind of you. So that leaves you, Victor. So your closing remarks, and of course we will come to you, Pete. But from a student point of view.
Yeah, like what everyone said here, it's just been a major privilege for, you know, having our diverse voices being here in the Talanoa nights, just to, you know, share our perspectives and just being a part of a crucial session to share with our community, to see what we have to say in regards to, you know, the COVID and our education. But yeah, it's been a major privilege for us to be here. Like what Helen said, I do believe that, you know, it's only natural for us to, you know, fear the unknown because we don't know what's to come next. It may be something that we're familiar with, but we still don't know what lies ahead of us. So it's always good to be vigilant, you know, get vaccinated. Yeah. You know, just taking in precautions and just following each other and just helping each other and just, you know, being humans basically. But yeah, like what Helen said, finding our support system, our schools, especially Manurewa High, you know, being a part of this awesome whānau. They've provided pastoral care. They've even our team, we've given out all sorts of information to families and that are needing information in regards to, you know, our COVID-19 vaccines or any other queries in regards to our lockdown space. So yeah, our Manurewa High School team, you know, has been so awesome at helping us with that. And I guess a shout out is to our students for, you know, keeping strong, just trying to keep motivated and just being themselves in this hard time. But yeah, it's just been a major privilege for us to be here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for everything you've shared. So before we get to our closing karakia, I'd just like to also give Pete the opportunity to share some closing remarks and some thoughts. And I'll pop up a comment from one of your counterparts down in the South Island. I don't know if you know Paul, but he's from Rangiora High School, and put some thoughts in there. But if you'd like to share your closing remarks, that'd be appreciated.
Kia ora, Ryan. Just a big thank you for the opportunity. It's great to hear our young leaders and their perspective, and they absolutely represent our rangatahi at Manurewa High School. My shout outs go to everybody connected with our kura. Thank you for all your support. My challenge, Piki atu ki te rangi, aim high, strive for excellence, keep going team. Hashtag we got this, as Mr. Hendricks would say. And we're really looking forward. I think we're going to get there soon. So I think we're going to be able to be back together soon. And we know how much we all value that face-to-face. And to everyone who's got whānau overseas, really thinking of you and hope, again, in the not too distant future, we're able to get back together again. But thanks for the opportunity, Ryan. Thanks, team, for being there to support. You're amazing. And remember, you're the influencers as well. So keep everybody strong. Kia kaha.
Beautiful. So just to give a bit of a wrap up and round off before we close with the karakia, which will be our last thing that we hear on the show tonight, I just want to extend a huge thanks to everybody at Manurewa High, to our 4 student guests, to our principal. Thank you so much for all of your time and effort to prepare and be on the show tonight. I'm really grateful that we were able to gain the perspectives. So we've got a future nurse who's going to be looking after Polynesian and New Zealand community there with Helen. Thank you very much. An existing businesswoman, Maya, who's got a business up and running, so we'll get the shop, the e-commerce link up there, so we can have a look and maybe purchase some of those night lights. I wouldn't mind a night light, actually. I still get a bit scared of the dark. And to Beitua, who's going to be building our future communities with his engineering. I'm really looking forward to that. And James, I can't wait to see you play, mate. I am a bit of a sports fan, and yes, while I was a union first and foremost, I've got a few family connections to league, so I do spend a bit of time watching it. Just don't tell them I do. And I want to thank you all once again, because this has been amazing to gain the perspectives that we don't normally hear. So with that, it's time for me to be quiet. And I think, is it James who's going to close out the karakia, or someone? Helen. There we go. So let's bring you into here. And Helen, over to you. Thank you very much.
Sweet. Thank you. Let's pray. Unihia ki te uru tapinui, kia wātea, kia mama, te ngākau, te tinana, te wairo i te aka, te ara takata, koe ara e rongo, whakaire ake ki runga, kia tina, hui e taiki.
All right. Thank you so much, team. We're going to go off air just now. So I'll leave you with a huge thanks and a ka kite anō and a stay safe.